Dairy is once again at the center of Canada-U.S. trade tensions. Canada is going to officially begin talks with the U.S. in January. These are to review and potentially make changes to CUSMA. Now, the White House is already laying out conditions Canada must meet to keep this existing deal, and one of the biggest flashpoints is Canada's supply-managed dairy system. The U.S. says Canada isn't living up to the spirit of the agreement when it comes to dairy imports, while Canada insists this current system is essential to protect our dairy farmers. Here for a closer look at the details of the dispute is Barry Appleton, an international trade expert. Great to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so remind us, what is the problem that Trump has with the deal that he agreed to originally that is in place right now, and why we fought so hard to make it so in this last round of negotiations?
Well, first you really have to understand what supply management is. So there's three pieces to supply management. First, it puts limits on what can be produced. The second, it puts artificial limits on the prices. It puts the prices up higher, controls the price, the production inside the country. And the third is it has to have limits, tariffs and quotas to keep it from outside. So in Canada, what we do with supply management is say, we're only going to produce for our market, and that system is done that way. The flip side is, in the US, they give a subsidy to everybody. That means overproduction. They need to find a market to sell it. We are their best market to sell milk because we're right next door. It's really easy. So the Americans want to take their overproduction and sell it into Canada. And our system is made to have no additional needs because of supply management. They're incompatible systems. So our problem is this. Right now, our entire dairy system is based on our self-sufficiency in supply. If we open up more into this market, it destroys the fundamental underpinnings. And so our problem is that what they want and what we can give is a very difficult needle to thread.
Yeah, but we're going to have to do it. But we've been here before. So outline for everybody, what is the problem that President Trump has decided this can't continue? Well,
it's more about leverage and the midterm elections and dairy states. That's really what it is. He's promised the farmers he will find them more markets in the U.S. But those markets aren't in Canada if supply management stays in. So the problem is that in the NAFTA, we had supply management, we didn't have to do anything. Yeah. In the CUSMA, President Trump's deal, we agreed to open up more. We opened as much as we possibly could to keep the system. Every political party in Canada supports supply management. It is politically charged. Nobody wants to say they're opposed to it. Yeah. And yet, if you tinker with the system now, you probably take supply management down, and it's broken and it can't work.
Okay, so if that happens, if that is the point that, that's the hill he chooses to die on, excuse me, what happens to our dairy industry?
Well, the dairy industry would have to change fundamentally.
Can it survive?
It would be very difficult. So our problem is totally different markets, totally different models, and this is a point of leverage. The U.S. has decided that Canada's in a weak spot.
He calls us cheaters. He says we cheat on this deal.
We didn't cheat on this deal, but we had different interpretations as to what the opening meant. We had some disputes on it. We had some pieces that it's still unresolved completely. But at the end of the day, there's not a lot of wiggle room. So this is a real tough fight, and this is one of the key issues, not the only one. But in the big fight that's going to happen about the CUSMA review and the future of trade, this is issue number one for Canada. But even if we gave it up, let's say we gave it up, we don't know that there's even going to be a deal. We did this on the digital sales tax, right?
Yeah.
So we just keep giving and giving, and we don't know if we're going to get. And I think that's the political issue. If you're going to give something so fundamental, so deep into the Canadian element of what we're about, you'd have to have a guarantee there's going to be a deal. We don't know that.
Well, and then what do you get back in return for giving up that much?
Right now, it's just you keep giving gifts and gifts. It's Christmas time. We're Santa's sleigh. We keep giving out the gifts, but we don't know that we have anything in return. And that's why there's so much uncertainty here.
And does Canada have any flexibility to negotiate, or did we already bend as far as we can to get this last agreement signed?
We did a lot of gymnastics just to get to the CUSMA. There would be a little bit of wiggle perhaps, but not much, and not enough to make them happy. And that's why this is really the Grinch that stole Christmas for Prime Minister Carney. this is a real tough one. That's why they're giving it to us now.
There is some thought that President Trump actually wants this whole deal to fall apart. He wants to renegotiate separately with Canada and with Mexico. Could this be, you know, I said it before, could this be the hill he dies on? Could this be the thing that finally breaks the negotiations and saying, we can't come to an agreement, there's no deal anywhere?
Well, first of all, it's up to President Trump could cancel the deal at any point on 6 months' notice. He doesn't even need a reason. That's written right into the contract.
That's baked in.
Written in. So when we talk about a 16-year deal, it's actually a 6-month deal because we can be evicted. We're like tenants that can be evicted at any point. Canada needs a deal because we're so leveraged. That's our mistake for leaving it for so long to be so highly leveraged to the U.S. So Canada has to find some type of deal for market access.
Yeah.
And this is one of a number of pieces. It's just the top of the list.
I know dairy farmers, and if they're watching this morning, they're yelling at the screen. What do they need for our government to do to protect their industry?
It's really going to end up about money. If the dairy farmers have an allocated quota, and they buy the allocated quota, and they've done all their decisions based on that, so they're going to get bought out if that happens. If we change the system, they're going to have to be compensated significantly. It's going to be very disruptive. It's politically exceptionally sensitive, especially in Quebec and in British Columbia. This is a very thorny political issue, has national unity implications, got all types of issues. It is really giving us a very nasty bit of a problem just before Christmas.
Barry Appleton, I want to thank you for coming in. I mean, I love all the Christmas metaphors. This is great, but it is very serious, and we're going to take a look at it come January, and hoping the best for our dairy producers.
This is not going away.
No, this will be a hot one. All right, thanks for coming in.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.